What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Hxro Labs Live. Your host, RT, here on this fabulous Friday, May 28th. Sitting here in the studio, just going to make sure everything is humming along. I assume it is. It looks like it is. It smells like it is. Sounds like it is. What's up, Boris? Mr. Alex, Jedi. Winner in Training says, what up, RT? Tell us the future. Well, can't do that, but I will tell you this. I'll tell you how I will be behaving in the future, what I'll be looking for on the charts, and what I think is going on in the market right now. It doesn't take a scientist or even an analyst to really figure out that we are not trending up on the daily right now. And we're definitely not in, if you bull market, can't sleep because everything just keeps going up. We're paused. We're cleaning up, and that can take some time. Big smackdown in the market like we saw last week, this morning. Just a little range down, but God, you feel it in your guts when it goes down a little bit after going down so much. We're in a very sensitive little range right now. High emotions, low dopamine, and I'll tell you what, if you can accept it, if you can identify it and then address it the way you should, which is to not, try to force it to be something it's not, then you can actually find a lot of value in this time. For me, that's been a little bit of rest. It's a little bit less tweeting. It's a little bit less charts. There's not much to say. I'm here today with you guys because it's Friday. This is when we go live, and I want to talk about what I see in the market and how I'm going to trade this. Because, the first week of it, I'm like, okay, let's let this carve out a range. Let's see how the market is. Are we in a sharp downtrend where it's like 1 week, pause, and then we just drop again, another leg? Very possible. If not probable, I think we're overheated. I thought we were overheated quite a bit near the highs. I was very uncomfortable when I was on a call with a team doing an advisory call, and he said, all I want to do is talk about dog tokens. And we were just literally picking up shitcoins that had just launched because we spotted them going into Vitalik's wallet, and we would just ape in a half an ETH and ape it out a second later for like 7x. We're like, whoa, this is hilarious. And in that 1 hour call, there was like 27 new dog tokens created, and each one of them had like their own little 12x or whatever. And in that moment, I said, holy shit, we are in bubble town. Like in that moment, in that sector, there was a retail mania taking place. It was just taking place in a sort of a weird, ugly, furry little corner of the market. And that's unfortunate. I think a lot of people think, oh, the top's going to come in, but everything's just going to go up like 2017, myself included, and I still do. But that wasn't it. And that told me, is like, oh, fuck, this is uncomfortable. Like, we need to cool off. This is too far, too fast. And that's okay. The market, it can't go straight up, obviously. And if we want it to go to 2 trillion, 10 trillion, 20 trillion, whatever, it's going to have to chug along. It's going to have to get there, with strong hands. Strong hands will carry the market up. Of that, I am, I'd say fairly certain in the next 10 years. I'm looking at this as like the 20s, the 30s. I don't really want to be here, in this exact, state through the 2030s, but through the 2020s, I expect Bitcoin, blockchain, all this stuff to be so hot. And this week sucks. There, I said it. It sucks. It's no fun. And so I'm just trying to make the best of it. And so we'll look at the charts. We'll look at Fib Pong. I know a lot of you guys, you want to trade, like myself. You want to see number go up, and you don't need the number of an asset to go up to make money. You can trade it to the downside. You can short it. You can leverage. And for the most part, I think that's risky. I think there's better times to trade. I really liked in February when I saw Ocean flip this key like SR level on huge rising volume while everything else was going nuts. And I said, that's going to go up. I can just ape into that spot, hold it for a month, and I'll have more money. That's the kind of market I want to trade. And how long do I have to wait to get back to that? Does it matter? It'll happen, and when it happens, I'll see it. So the key for me, above all else, if you take nothing else away from today's episode, is to stay solvent. Hold on to what you've made. And that doesn't mean, sell everything, go to Tether, whatever that is to you, Bitcoin, ETH, your favorite coin. Be in a position is my my plan is to be in a position to do what I did in February, which was a great month, and March. Wasn't perfect. I left a lot on the table. But be in a position to take full advantage of that when that comes back, and it will come back. Whether we have to chop here for 2 to 5 weeks, like I think we'll have to do, or whether we go into a proper little bear for the summer and it's all slag summer, or whether it's a 2-year bear market. Least likely of the things I just said, in my opinion. But I got to be prepared for all those, and the best way to prepare to do that is to stay solvent. So welcome to the show, guys. And the cool thing is, cool and not cool, because it's way more fun to get on here when there's like 50 hot charts to look at and so much opportunity. If nothing else, it's a little overwhelming, but it's fun. And then the next week we come back and we're all a little richer, right? It's great. Those are the easy markets to trade in. We've just come out of one of those. We're heading into the next phase, which for a little bit at the very least, I think best case right now, we're going to just range here for a bit. We're going to chop. We're going to drive people nuts. We're going to have people buying breakouts and getting squashed. We're going to have people shorting lows and support and getting blasted out. And at the end of all that, when people have totally lost their lunch and they're sick of it all, we'll have our next move. And fundamentally speaking, the way the world is shifting, the way money is starting to look at DeFi with hungry eyes, I think up only. I think in the next 5 years, I'd be crazy to think that I can't sell something I buy today, like Ethereum, for more money. That's just it. That's the probability by every measure that I can think of. So, us being greedy little humans, we want to know, but can I get it cheaper in the meantime? Can I avoid pain and sideline myself and buy Ethereum for $750 in December? Because, Ethereum seasonally just seems to love to bottom into January. Can I do that? Because if I can do that, I'd rather do that. And maybe as simple as I don't need to worry about all that. I'm just going to have some Ethereum, hold some Ethereum. Whatever your plan is, have one. More than ever right now, have a plan. I talked about having a plan every time I come on the show. And sometimes my plan changes and it's fluid. I have to adjust it. I say I'm going to hold this part because it's a bull market and I'm going to trade this part really actively. Or I'm going to stash this on Hxro and earn a few % on the side and just have a little safety net, and I'm going to trim 10% of my profits if I have any each month, and I'm going to put them into that Hxro account and just set and forget it. Those little plans, have that figured out, because this is going to be a little bit of a roller coaster here. Almost certainly. It's going to test you. It's going to make you want to dump at the lows. It's going to make you want to FOMO back in at the highs. And odds are that the majority of people actively trying to chase this market without any particular plan are going to lose money. And then when the really good times come back, when the really clear and easy looking setups, it's always easy in retrospect, but there was some trades. Let me share one with you guys right now so you just know what I'm talking about. Let's go look at Ocean. I called my buddy after I saw this chart earlier this year, right here. Was it right here? Yeah. Right here. This is literally the chart. So, oh my God. And look at this chaos PRZ tag. Oof. Now I didn't actually sell at that chaos PRZ tag. I sold much earlier because I took some size, and, I think as I mature as a trader, I'll learn to just actually trade my TA exactly. But then I'm like, I'm going to size up big. And then so after this drop, when it gets back up here, I'm like, I take that. That's a nice trade. I'm good with that. But this is what happened for Ocean back in February. And so, what you see here, you see resistance, nice little accumulation range, resistance, and then it broke out. And there was all this buy volume growing, clear trend in buy volume up. And the rest of the market was going ham. Look at Binance leaderboard, coins breaking out, ADA going crazy, all these different coins. And so when it comes in and tests this level, I just said, size, bro, size up long. Call my buddy. I said, just, he likes to ape around a bit, and he's got some pretty good sized capital, but he's not a TA guy, and he's often, he's helping me out with other things. So I call him up once in a while. I say, look, I know you're looking to park something for the month. Park it in Ocean. And what a gimme. This market here was so sexy. It's not right now. It's a little unsure. We're actually at that level. Broke through, recovered it. Is it? Maybe it is. Oh, should have spoke too soon. But all other things aside, this is a different buildup to this level. Like this level is on the way down. The buy volume is a lot different. The profile there, the sell volume is actually kind of trending up. It's a different market. This will come back, whether it means a whole other little bear and shitty consolidation for months, or whether, we recover something, there's a new setup. This will come back. This kind of thing will come back on some asset somewhere. And when it does, I want to have as much capital ready to deploy as possible. So, as August pointed out, might take time for Wyckoff accumulation. Who knows? Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you what, it's going to take some time for something. We're not going to just, in my opinion, and if this changes, my analysis will change and I will update, right? You have to analyze the market with the latest information that it's given you. And right now, the information I have, everything I know about TA, tells me that we just need to cool our jets for a little bit. And depending on your plan, though, because I also know some guys where I learned to trade over at TRI. This is a log chart. It shouldn't be. And they just buy 88.6s. They're like, ooh, Ocean looks good. Nice big bottom breakout. This was all too expensive. I don't like it. Maybe they longed it in there, whatever. But all this falls off. Basically at this M-top breakdown, they're just like, get me out. Maybe even on the retest, whatever. But it's like, I'm just buying 88.6s. I'm buying these range lows and I'm holding for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. Don't care. Because when this 88.6 goes up 100%, I can sell half my position, get a free bag. And then from there, when it goes up 100% again, I can get another free position, another free bag, and they just rotate out of their positions over time. So yeah, there's some people doing shopping right now. For me personally, more and more, I like to make concentrated bets on assets that look like they're about to go for a ride. And I don't see that right now. So if anything there wasn't already somewhat in your mind, you're like, I know that, man, it's not great right now. But the good news is we're in reload zones. So we're getting into that cheaper territory. The total market cap has seen a 60% drawdown. Now, this is kind of a fun thing. You don't know, a lot of people don't get this with downside in markets. I mean, look at this. From here, look at how far down this chart goes, all the way back to November 2015. We already lost, this is a log chart, obviously, but we've taken off 60% of this entire move. And look at the tiny little space it takes up at the top because of the log view, right? If we do it this way, obviously it's a lot different. But in relative terms, logarithmic, just this little bit coming back is 60%. And one thing you don't want to fool yourself into is thinking it's gone down so much, it can't go down anymore. I'm not here to call the uber bear, but that's the thing we all learned the hard way. For those of you who weren't around through the last bear market, your bag that just went down 60% can go down 60% again. And that can go down 60%. And it actually can theoretically go down infinitely in 60% tranches or whatever. I had a bag of Aeon that at the start of the bear market was a free bag I secured. And I was feeling pretty good about it because it was worth quite a bit. It was free. I got it from their TRS, monthly distributions, and I had already sold enough to get my initial back and some, feeling pretty good about myself. I said, I'm just going to hold this bag. Well, at the time, it was worth 50K. Not a humble brag, just a fact. It was worth 50K, and I was like, it's a free bag. I'm going to hold that. By the end of the bear market, because I literally held, I staked it on their network. I was like, I'm actually not going to touch it. It was worth $1,200. It was down 99.96%. It was dust. And a funny side note, not why I brought this up, but sometime earlier this year, the founder came out and announced that they were pivoting to moves, this DeFi thing. Sounds cool. Basically said, Aeon network doesn't seem to be getting the traction. We're not going to force it a square thing into a round thing. We're going to pivot away from Aeon network, but in the future, we'll drive as much value back to the Aeon token as possible. We obviously still hold some. We're bullish on it, blah, blah, blah. That is the day that I was like, you know what? Fuck it. It's $2,600 now. I'm going to sell it. I'll just flip. I'm trading actively. I'll flip it into something that they didn't just pivot away from. Well, it's really funny. Not. That's actually the week before it just randomly started mooning. Right around here. I shit you not. I held through the entire fucking bear market. And then the team basically said, we're changing gears and we're going to go do something else. And then this happened and I sold. So that was actually hilarious. Not a make or break, but it's just it's hilarious what markets will do to you. It's really funny. So the one thing that I said, no matter what, I'm holding this to the next bull market. I sold it right before the next bull market. But to be fair, the team did say we're going to pivot away from this project. So That's markets for you. That's irony. Whatever it is, it sucked a bit, but it was more funny than anything. That took that 2,600. I probably did something good with it. Like bought Ocean right around this date, which also did well. So, but isn't that funny? Ha ha ha. Ouch, right? Aseb, yeah, he gets it. Aseb, if I got your name right, it was like, again, more hilarious. Anyways, let's look at Fib Pong. Let's look at trading the range, because I think that's what we're in for. And I'll just give you a quick and dirty here. Actually, we should do it on Bitcoin. It's good to see you guys. It really is. It's a quiet, weird space on Twitter right now. It's actually super kind of negative, and if anything, there's some good accounts that are just having some fun with it, and there's not a lot to say. I feel like there's a lot of people trying to do something just to stay relevant, and Twitter's kind of like, it's smoked, man. It's boring right now, and I enjoy being live with you guys, so shout out to all of you. Thanks for joining me. Look, we're trending up, Smackdown. Chop, 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 chop. We're trending up, Smackdown. Chop, 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 chop. So as you see here, when you get a big, and this is actually something I kind of added into my trading plan this past year, when you get large sort of shakeout, dumps, whatever in the market that just shit people's pants, it causes, it shocks the market into consolidation. It's almost like everyone loses their mind. There's no collective agreement about where we're headed, right? We're bear, we're bull, we're bear, we're bull. And if you go back, and I distinctly recall in 2020, lots of debate, myself included. I don't know where we're going. Are we going up? Are we going down? And there's all these, open debate. And of course, on these breakouts to new highs, everyone's longing. And then on these dumps down to new lows, everyone's shorting. Not everyone, but you know what I mean. And it's very tough trading. And then it just winds up. And then eventually you get the next move. And then it gets smacked down and it goes back into unsureness. And then you get these sick trends. Oh, smackdown, shocked into consolidation. Sick trend, smackdown, a little bit of consolidation. Sick trend, smackdown, a little bit of consolidation. And so you guys see where I'm going with this, right? You just got this smackdown here, and we basically this was all kind of distribution, consolidation, whatever. And then we have this big drop. This is different than all of these. You could see it on the chart. Unfortunately, you see this is 3 months of sort of overall selling. Bears in control. More sellers than buyers. Distribution. You've seen the Wyckoff distribution by now, no doubt. I won't get into that because it's not really my bread and butter. But I watch other people talk about it, and I believe it's pretty good analysis, and I like it. But I'm not a Wyckoff guy. But that's a big picture perfect distribution pattern and a dump. So we can't expect a 3-month distribution pattern. I'm not going to say top, local top for sure, already is. But we can't expect that to just be haha, and then it's going to just shoot back up the next day. I just don't expect that. You can think it's possible for sure. Should break everything down into possibilities and probabilities. Possible, yes. Probable, very low. So I'm not gonna look for that. What I am looking for is chop, is ranging, is consolidating. And obviously any profits I didn't take up here, and we did talk a lot about paying ourselves basically through this entire bull market, and for better or worse, I did a lot of paying myself through here, right? As soon as we came back from that, I paid myself quite a bit, pulled out, what I thought was a win no matter what. Then I watch everything go up some more. And that's just the way it goes. You don't get to nail the top unless you're, lucky. And then I did a little bit more paying myself through here. And I held still more through this. And I did a little bit more paying myself through here. And when you're in a good place, you got to pay yourself when you can, not when you have to. Now, is the joke on me? Is there a social pressure if it's chop, 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 whoa, whoa, whoa. And then it's haha, RT totally paid himself through here. Oh no, if that's my new worst case, I'm just a pig in shit with that scenario. What I will not be okay with is if it's whoa, 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 leg down. Where is that going to be? 24, 25, whatever. Chop, 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 retest, leg down. And I'm back here and I'm sitting here talking to people about 10K charts and I didn't do that. So number one, how I'm managing my assets right now. I have some Bitcoin. I have a few altcoins. I still got my ID bag. Like we've talked about that one ad nauseum. It's where it is on the chart, and I'm just, it can go down 90% from here and then 90% from there and 90%. Like I get that, but this is one, I'm giving it the in it for the tech treatment for at least as long as it takes, whatever that is, 6 months to a year, or 2 years or 10 years. But I like ID. And I bought a bag that I can't get out of. So I'm in it for the tech now. What do I see here? Well, it's uncertain. I mean, we're in a downtrend. There is no two ways about it. Higher or lower highs and lower lows, period. So technically speaking, I need to trade, cautiously on the long side. Fundamentally, of course, midterm, long term, I'm feeling pretty good. Actually, midterm, I'm actually not that sure. Long term, feeling great. Every, what I would call insiders, people that I know who know big, smart, wealthy people, they're looking at this thing with, their mouths are watering, looking at DeFi, looking at crypto. And they're, I don't even think a lot of them are worrying about like, ooh, should I buy here? Should I buy there? Should I buy here? Because if their thesis is right, if our thesis is right, I'm just going to get rid of all that noise. They're thinking on the more global macro level. Like if the thesis of this is all correct, what are the 20s going to look like? What are we going to look like at 2030? Where are we going to be? Does it matter where you got in here? If your thesis is whatever, a couple $1 million Bitcoin, I think that's the mindset and the time frame of the kinds of players that are looking at this market right now. So, I'm a trader. I don't want to sit around for 10 years and do nothing. It's my job. I got to be here. I can trade both sides of the market. This is not a market that I'm dying to ape into. Look at this friggin' structure. This thing, it sucks. I don't want to sit here and feed anyone false hopium. This is toppy, toppy, toppy. Is it a blow off top? No. Does Bitcoin always end its cycle in a blow off top? Yes. So is this just a midterm cool down? That's my hunch. But I don't know that. So I'm going to wait for setups. And I am getting to a point here where we're going to talk about the setup that I'm looking at. But like you can see the difference, right? Bing, 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 breakout. All kinds of hope. And the funny thing, the ironic thing is I was stuck in disbelief through this. I mean, I was long Bitcoin. I had Bitcoin. I picked some up at the lows. I picked some up here. But I wasn't like lever up, lever up, lever up, lever up. In retrospect, could have been. I made some good money through this, but I was not as confident, in how good it, like, I don't think I thought it was going to go to 20, 30, 40, 50, 60K in 1 year. But in retrospect, you can see one market very primed, just had the happening somewhere through here, whatever it was, looked great. This looks like it needs to wash out everyone who just showed up, quit their jobs, and wants to be a crypto trader. As ungleeful as that sounds, that's what it looks like. And not just because of this red candle, although every red and green candle is very polarizing right now because of the range. But you guys, you hear what I'm saying? Like zooming out, look at the market and pick the most opportune time to place your eggs in the best baskets. That's kind of what it's about for me. And this is not the most opportune moment. And so, okay, I think we got that. Moving on. Let's look at FibPong. Oop, what's that all about? Let's look what I'm doing on Ethereum. I think Ethereum's got a little more volatility to offer. I think on the whole, it's probably a little more exciting right now as well, just with EIP 1559 and ETH 2. And until Bitcoin goes solar, maybe ETH's going to steal the show, and ETH obviously can do a whole lot more than Bitcoin. So for whatever reason, it's also more volatile. You can capture larger moves, using the same setups and TA and whatever. So I'm going to look at Ethereum. And I don't know why these keep sneaking back on the chart. I think I have to save it. This is kind of the vibe I have for this weekend. It's a long weekend. For those of you who don't know, those tend to affect the market slightly differently, sometimes more bearishly. In the bull market, I feel like 2017, they were still kind of pullbacks. I don't know. Basically, the stock market doesn't open on Monday in the United States. And that does have an impact, if nothing else, because we all think it will. So expect volatility through the long weekend. A big part of that is there's just more people on breaks. There's, some of these whales, funds, whatever have you, that move markets, they want breaks too. they're rich, a lot of them. Big, large players. So what's one of your goals, if you have $100 million? Is it to like work on the long weekend? I'll pull those orders. See you on Tuesday. Let the market do whatever it wants. And the market right now doesn't know what it wants. And so the moves should be bigger, the liquidity lower, the volume probably a little lower, and that can lead to a lot of really shitty trading. So for the most part, I'm staying out this weekend. But if we get into this level, if we get into the low 2000s, instead of saying, oh, we're definitely headed lower, it's a downtrend, this is really scary, I'm going to be sitting there with the dry powder that I've accumulated through this, and I'm ready to take a setup probably to the long side. I mean, I'll obviously have to see what we do when we get there. But generally speaking, this is the kind of range trading that I'm looking for. And so for those of you who weren't maybe watching when I drew these fibs up, which was no one because I did it before the show. Actually, I did it like last week. Here's how this all starts, right? I find the last big sort of bullish market structure we had on the daily, and I picked that as my pivot low. And so I'm drawing that. So now I found this range, and that's my reload zone. So all through this, I'm thinking, okay, this is getting a little scary. This is getting a little crazy. You guys know, this was sort of like something I threw out on Twitter almost as like, just be careful. After this dump here, I just thought, oh, that looks pretty gross. Don't be surprised if we get up into the short reload zone and then just wash down through here. Like that's not impossible. I didn't even end up trading it, as a lot of you guys know, because I missed my friggin' alert that night. But I had set it. But point is, okay, back to my point. Point is, that's how I got this fib here. Okay, so my first fib is just the higher time frame. Okay, we're down into this long reload zone. So as an uptrend goes, often I find these fibs can mark the higher lows really nicely. So that's what I'm looking at. So let's get in a little closer. Now we've come down off of the highs. So we have a new range now. We have a high, and I'll draw that here, and we have a low, which came in right over here on May 23rd, last Sunday, I believe. That was when it got really gross and bleedy and drippy. And so now that gives me a short reload zone. That's up here, and go figure, it matches up with a key resistance, this sort of final M-top breakdown level that already got retested. So we don't necessarily have to go retest that, but that is a key level. There's another key level here, which is sort of these lows here. We have not retested those. I feel like we will. That's my hunch. That is sort of what I'm watching for. So if I want to trade it up to there, if I want to be long into that, presumably looking for shorts up there, possibly here, ideally right up here at like 35. If I want to long up into that, I need to get an entry that's really tight. I don't want to be like long from 27. And what's my risk window, right? Like not a very good setup if I wait for this breakout here and then I'm like, risking to down here. Obviously, I think anyone who traded this should, trying to buy this retest, they should have been using like that test as their stop loss, at least the retest of it. So if you were long from there, like you should be out of that by now, probably the way I trade. But what does all this mean? Well, I'm waiting for the dip. I'm waiting for a proper dip. Now it's very possible I don't get it. And the one I want, right? And then, I opened my FTX chart this morning and I saw this support line. Oh, I said I saw this support line. This one here. So I saw this on my FTX chart. I was clearly, watching this level on the lower time frames. So, there's a long to be had here. But in this choppy market, it's a little droopy. We looked at the high time frames. Like I said, it's not one I'm racing to be long on. So I'm not going to rush to the first support I see. If I miss it, I miss it. But if we get into here, down into this sort of trend line retest, sweet spot on this this fib here. God, it's so big now. Where'd it go? Over here. Let's bring that in. If we get down into this sweet spot, confluent with this higher time frame support, all that stuff, and it's like trend line support, and it's like maybe it's coming in on bullish divergence, right? We make a low and then another low, but the momentum indicators all turned bullish. Like that's a really nice entry. I can get a little size. My stop loss is not too far off. and I'm trading all the way up to here. Seems unlikely to happen, right? It's like, even if those lows do come in, it seems unlikely that that's the low, and maybe I'll just get stopped out. So there's less likely I'm going to make a trade here at all. But like I said, it's not really great trading conditions. So if I'm going to trade this, I'm going to trade it, at my level to a T. Give me the entry I want, the best entry, or I just don't want it. Make the market come to you. My TLDR of that whole long rant. Let's go take a look at the chat, guys. I got into that. I wanted to get sort of my thinking out, and I guess like the other thing with FibPong is, once it gets up to here, especially if like it doesn't get my entry, and so I miss it and it just starts going up here, and you're gonna be on Twitter, it's like whatever, everywhere you look, it's gonna be like, oh, I told you, you guys got shaken out, we're going to the moon, and we might. But I think we're into FibPong for all those reasons I talked about earlier. The big smackdown, need some consolidation time, big kind of distribution-y top thing on Bitcoin. So when we get up into the short reload zone, 10 times out of 10, I'm looking to short it. And then if we get back into like the the reload zone of that, let's say we do come down here and then we do end up there, well, I've got a new little reload zone. And this FibPong stuff, and then there's my, my short from maybe from here down here, close it. Maybe I'm looking long, get up into the short reload zone of that. That's what FibPong is. Right? Measure from as it happens, though. I can't do this in the future. You have to wait for them to come in. Maybe the high was here, maybe the low was there, whatever. And you just follow it like that. And as you notice already on my chart, what you end up with, starting to look really gross. Let's go here. What you might end up with, and it happens all the time, I've seen it more and more the more I trade this, is these fibs kind of lead you into that consolidation that I foresee coming. And whatever that ends up looking like, you get 80, 75% of the way to the apex, and then it's like, whoa, wow. Right? So I want to trade that. That's what I see coming. That's our bull case. I mean, obviously there's a greater bull case where it's like, whoa, where we have like a low, a higher low, and then it's just, we're gone. And that's totally possible. That would fit my fundamental analysis, which is just that this shit's going to the moon someday. But I think much more likely that we have to just clean up the market a bit and have a boring summer, or at least, June. So that's my analysis. That's how I see the market right now. And I'm in a position, and this is so important with analysis. You got to position yourself to like, it's not about clout. I'm right, I'm wrong. I don't care. If I put this out on Twitter, it's like, it was wrong. The important thing is that I'm positioning myself to trade and behave in the market the way that I think the market is going to be, which is consolidation. And that's, again, the bull case. It's also gross and possible that and we really just panic some people out. In fact, if we're going, well, that's $52, but you know what I mean? Like some kind of drop. Also possible. Holy shit. ETH hit $1,400 on Binance Perps. Don't trade there. Thinner books. So anyways, those are all of my kind of like, thanks, Lily. Shout out to you. It was a very kind thing you said a few minutes ago. That's where I'm at right now. It's boring. It's not fun. I am taking some time away. Like I'm not like trying to scalp out day trades all day. But when these 4-hour levels come in, like I just showed you, like we should go look, then I want to trade these. I want to do these kind of, they're not even like midterm swings. They're like multi-week swings. If you guys follow me on Twitter, like, last weekend I was buying the shit out of Bitcoin and bull token at the lows because I just thought we're going to do some FibPong. Like that's, 60% is enough. I think in some ways the highest probability trade ever was longing after that absurd sell-off. But most people that are trying to buy the dip, they buy too early. In fact, I got lucky because I wasn't trying to buy the dip. I was just like, I'm not going to buy the dip. I'm just going to wait and watch. I took out my cash at the 42 breakdown. I'm just going to, and then it got so ridiculous, so absurd. Altcoins down 70% in like 3 days. I was like, bull or bear, these things are going to bounce. So I picked them up. Now, from there, uncertainty, FibPong, boredom, and chop. So as soon as the market feels really bearish, I'm going to long it. If we get back to really feeling bullish, I'm going to short it. And if I can bang out 3 legs of FibPong, that's like, ooh, that's going to be fabulous. And the best part is on this 4-hour time frame, these things take a week or 2 to play out. So you can kind of like sit on your hands and enjoy the ride, read a book, draw a picture, play some guitar. Jonathan Byers has, how do you feel about the ocean drop? I feel the same way about it as I do every other one. You know, in this state, it's very hard for your coin to be different. There's going to be some that are a little more bearish than others, some that are, you know, a little more, a little less. I'll tell you what, Ocean hasn't been in this good of a buying location since I bought it back in February. Sold it through here, but like, yeah, it's back in at the level that I would want to be long from if I was a bull. It's just a little early. You know, there's a few things I would need to see down here. And I always talk about this, right? Because this could just trend down. You don't know what it's going to do yet, right? So why rush into it? Whereas if it chills here for a bit, builds a little base, and there's some kind of range that it carves out, which is what I expect, then you can wait and watch and wait and watch, and that volume should die down, and it should get boring, and people stop caring about it. And then one day it'll be boop, buy volume. Boop, boop, buy volume. And maybe that expresses itself in the chart with a little breakout. And then it's like, sick, bullish market structure, rising buy volume, buy the dip. And look at all the time I saved. And look at all the death I potentially avoided because it might do that. So that's pretty much what I'm doing, thinking about on every single altcoin. Wait for that. And I always go back to ID because I didn't do that. Because it was a bull market and it was crazy, and I just love, like, I just think the project's a slam dunk for some growth at some point. I think there's no way they don't see their day in the sun. And so I was just confidently like, you know, loading through here, and this was great because that happened, right? The thing I just talked about happened, rising buy volume, all the things I just talked about happened. And I loaded up and I felt like a king, and I cut some here and I was like, oh, great trade. And then I reloaded it too early, and then I just kept buying like an ape, and here we are. In retrospect, and for anyone watching, like, yeah, same thing. Waiting for that carved out range, waiting for that breakout buy volume, and then buying the next dip after that, because it will dip after that. Because there are people stuck, and here's the trippy thing. Like, there's going to be people stuck in this. Let's go back a bit. There's going to be people stuck in this range that don't really follow TA, that are kind of like whatever. They're not looking at the setup that I'm looking for. And so when you get that breakout on volume, which of course they sometimes fake out once or twice before they finally do it. But when you get that breakout on volume, there's almost always a dip right after, shortly after, because somebody's like, hey, my money's, you know, it's back up. I want to get the hell out of here. And so it's sick. I mean, you saw it right here. Like, think about anyone doing TA from August 20th to February 21st, you just carve out this like fat, beautiful double bottom. And then you tap it, break out on volume. And the first thing somebody's idea was to sell that, but they did. And that's our entry. That's the dip. So more and more as I go, I sometimes do FOMO. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to buy some, breaking out. And, you know, a few weeks later, usually okay. But more and more as I get into this stuff, I really just like have to risk missing it always to buy that retest. Sometimes even buy like a little reload zone of that and then go. So yeah, those are my thoughts. That's how I feel about Ocean. The drop, I don't think Ocean dropping like this makes it bearish. Like, you know, the project's less good now. Like, it's the exact same project it was. This is just the market unwinding. It was overheated. There was people who were holding it just because number go up. Number stop going up, so they sell. They lose money. And people who are, you know, these types of whales who put the bottoms in market, they are reaccumulating down here almost certainly on these altcoins. A lot of them. Not the super shitty ones probably, but I feel like Ocean's one of the better ones. Yeah, Twitter vibe is off lately. Yeah, I agree. Dirk W. Yeah, it is really negative. You know, I find myself for the first time, because I like to try to be positivity, but like, Twitter is just, it's really negative. You know what? I made a BitClout video And, people have different opinions about that. It's a scam. It's not a scam. It's big. It's not big. Who cares? It's a social platform. And I was on there today for the first time in a little bit. It's actually so positive. It's so vibey. Not going to pull it up because it just doxes my whole life. But let me read to you guys 3 bit clout comments. What are your plans for the holiday weekend? Inspiring chat with so-and-so and so-and-so. Check it out. Stop caring about people gossiping, fear of failure, your fake friends, mistakes from the past, or society's expectations. It's all this hopeful, intense, happy-go-lucky shit. Who's your favorite Avenger? Mine is Thor. Life is too short to not feel good. Keep going, friend. I mean, it's a good vibe over there. And I've said this before, but it reminds me of online gaming when it first came out. I don't know if any of you guys were around for PlayStation 2. And that was me in high school. And then you get on the headset and you're talking to some guy in Ohio and they're like, "Oh man, I'm from Ohio. Where are you from? Oh, that's so cool. Let's be friends. Add me to your buddies list." Because it was the first time we had talked to anybody, through a game, at least in most people's case, through a console. And so the environment on Call of Duty, or I think it was SOCOM US Navy SEALs 2, was so positive for the first 4 months. And then, some toxic trolls start, and then they create toxic trolls, and then now it's a wasteland. You go on online gaming shooter games, and it's the most absurd things. I won't even repeat them, but the most awful thing you could say to somebody is especially these little pukes, 13-year-olds and that, they just get professional, angry, toxic. A little bit of that going on Twitter. Not everybody, but some really sad shit. Some witch hunts going on lately. My buddy Scott Melker. Told myself I wasn't going to rant about that today, so I won't go too far into it. But the guy's a good dude, and all I'll say is I subscribe to his newsletter. That guy writes 5 newsletters a week. Every morning, wakes up, starts his day, writes a newsletter. Information: how to trade, how to manage risk, how to not be an idiot, how to keep your shirt on, and he charges $15 a month. It's less than $1 per issue, and I read it a few times a week. He almost writes too much. I can't even read it all. So anyways, guy gets in some pre-sales, takes profit, takes care of his family. Any of those readers going to pay his rent? Did he say anything crazy well, it's going to the moon, buy it all? No, he said buy the dip. It's standard practice. I don't know. Could he have made one more disclosure to appease the trolls? Sure. But you know what it is? It's just salty people who are now down money looking for somebody who's doing well so they can tear them down. And there are a lot of scammers out there, and there's a lot of shitty people who intentionally drive prices up of things using their followers to then dump on their face and all the while claim they didn't do it. Scott's not one of them. Not even close. So back off would be my 2 cents. But he's a good dude. He's not the guy. So, but if you have a different opinion on that, go share it on Twitter. I'm not coming. I think a leg down to 1K. Oh, settle the Oracle. Super bearish right now. Poor DOT was $13. Yeah, dude. Okay, God, what is VETH doing? What is Vether doing? Oh yeah, ouch. Yeah, I mean this is it, right? This is standard TA, guys. This is market's got to go up, they got to come down. And where is it? It's in the reload zone. I know it is. You can already see it. And so then the question is which ones will survive? VETH, things like this that may be a little more off the radar, a little smaller cap, whatever, a little sketchier. I don't have as much faith in those picking up in the reload zone, although this is certainly a place I would look for the next leg if I was a big bull on Vether. Buy volume, a little bit of creeping in today. So if we put in a range here and I get that whole setup we just talked about with breaking out on volume, great, next leg. But there are a lot of these one cycle tokens that just do this and they're great, and then they just literally disappear. And I'll give you an example of that. A buddy of mine told me to buy this back before it had its big bubble, which I did. But oh, it actually came back a little this year. But this is during the bear market 2019. Absolute insano. Didn't stop in the reload zone, basically disappeared. Sub $1 forever after going to $13. Although it did look like it just rallied to $5. Surely that was a sign that we were nearing a top. Good little bomb token. Can't hate though. It's a really cool thing, and it says right under the thing, it's a social experiment. Buy at your own risk. One bomb is destroyed every time there's a transaction. Hyperdeflationary. Kind of cool. Been online gaming since MUDs in the late 80s. Okay, Jedi Hornet is an OG. Just put me to shame. Aaron Moody. Were you in a clan on SOCOM too? Who are you, kid? There was definitely a few of us. That'd be hilarious if you were. And Ramon, yeah. No, he's a good guy. That's like period. He's just a good dude. And so, at worst, you could say, oh, you could have handled this differently. You could have said in that exact moment when you talked about the chart that, I was in the pre-sale and I'm up 20x or like whatever it was. And I'm rotating out. But I like this project. We're in a bull market. It looks like it's a good one. Buy the dips. Could he have said that? Sure. Did he have to? No. There's disclaimers all over the place. And the last thing I want to say is that, okay, Chris Charles has a different opinion. That's fine. The last thing I'm going to say is stop acting like fucking newbies and people in the market are children who need a floaty in the shallow end. There, I said it. Okay, we're all adults. We all come out. We make our choices, and we put our money at risk. And nobody's paying your rent at the end of the day. Nobody's paying my rent. Nobody's taking care of his kids. That's his job. And so I'm kind of tired of this, like taking advantage of. It's like, bro, everyone's here trying to get rich off somebody else. And I know that sounds really gross. And everyone's like, no, we can all be a community. The bull market will convince you that we can all make it together. And in many ways, I think we can. But someone's got to buy the top. And I'm getting a little off topic here from all this Melker drama, but like a whole wave of people have to come in and put themselves in a position to lose money for you and I and us watching this stream to like get up 100x. You can't just go 100x and everyone sells the top. It's not how markets work. So while we can be in this beautiful community together, and I love it, and it is my favorite part about crypto, we need to stop acting like people with big followings like owe us something. And I don't have a big following. And Hellstone, like true, we're all snakes. It sounds snaky to say. I hate to say it. But the markets are not, like a sharing circle. They are cutthroat. They will move into your stop and they will drive you insane. You will lose every dollar you have if you don't manage risk. The markets will take every dime from you and they'll still keep chugging along the next day and you'll be alone. And anyone who tells you different or sets you up to believe that you can just pay someone to follow them and make a whole bunch of money, that's not real. That's not how it works. And Melker will tell you that him damn self in his newsletter. I read it all the time. So anyways, I digress. Sometimes I read the thing and it's like, those poor noobs. It's like, bro, he literally spends 10 hours a week writing newsletters, probably more, teaching those poor noobs how to not get wrecked. What he does with his own money, in my opinion, with a few disclaimers, probably fine. Anyways, I digress. I'm sure he's learned from this experience. I'm sure he will be, changing a few things that he does. And so maybe it's all for the better. But don't bury the guy. That's just silly. It's a little too far. Unfollow, move on. Make the guy feel like, I know that stuff affects him. He said it as much himself, and it would affect me. So I feel bad. He's a friend of mine. He's been on the show before. Always had nice, funny things to say. I like him a lot. Okay, we're moving on. Let's do a few things out of the chat. I'm looking over here at TradingView. I see a few of you guys talking about supports, lower supports. The big question. We're all here presumably because we're bulls on the market, but now the big question is how cheap can I get it? Can I wait? Personally, I think I can wait and get much better prices for like the big load up. This is not the kind of chart. Let's look at, wow, why is this up here? It keeps messing with me. Yeah. There we go. This is not the kind of chart like I look at and say, time to load up. Because for the last, what's an hourly? Let's go to the daily. On some time frames we're in an uptrend. On some time frames we're in a downtrend. And on the daily, which at least I want to see starting to trend up, if not trending up, after this last big pullback here is a good example. Trending down, like kind of like, oh, is this the top? And then we double bottomed. And you saw a very clear sign here that we had broken out again. Right? Low, if you're going by the wicks, higher low, breakout, retest. This was a great place to say, like, look, probability's good. We're heading up some more. Same thing right here. Huge dump down, higher low, breakout. As soon as that daily closed, bulls wasted no time. We headed up. Bullish market structure confirmed. Don't see that here. Not even close. Not yet. We might next week, actually. I'm actually watching for that. That's that kind of, maybe a drippy long weekend, whatever that looks like. Higher low. And if we get above this level, then I think we're going up to the short reload zone, which is juicy. That's like, well, at least here. Maybe like a wick into the 618. All right, so if we can close above 40, and I think this isn't like rocket science, I think a lot of people are watching that level, then, some kind of trend up here, and it's like, aha, bear market over. And that's actually a place, like I said earlier, that I'll be looking to short, and maybe we'll just see some more consolidation. And then through the summer, we can have that. That's like September, but you know what I mean. So that's the kind of stuff I'm looking at. You know what, Chris Charles? I get that, and that's how that Twitter thing was presented. Except for that, it wasn't an uptrend. We were in a rip-roaring bull market, and it did look good to add on dips. And what the fuck he's doing with his shit is totally irrelevant to people. He's managing risk. He's getting his initial back on a pre-sale. If you've never done pre-sales, it's very important, I think, when you get your initial back, because then you're trading risk-free, which, by the way, is what he also teaches in his newsletter to do. So, you can demonize the guy, and you can spend this week of saltiness trying to find somebody to be angry at. But at the end of the day, he works harder than you. He works harder than me. I work my ass off. He works harder than me. And he got an opportunity to be part of a pre-sale, which, by the way, is not some sacred thing that is always profitable. I spent 2 years investing in ICOs and pre-sales where they all got wrecked. They are seasonal. When they're hot, they're so hot, and they're my favorite thing. And when they're cold, they go cold for months, and you get wrecked. And in the end, it almost balances out to like a standard trading plan. So, you don't have to agree with me, Chris. I'm biased. I've met him, online. I've talked to him. I just know he's a genuinely good dude. He cares about people. So we may not find a middle ground here, and that's okay. But everything looked good when he wrote that. I remember distinctly, and things come out. The other thing is, a lot of these, maybe something that we should all teach, him included. And let's start on, I don't even know which coin we're talking about, but what's interesting, which is actually one that Gunny taught me, is one of his favorite things is when a new sale comes out, like a new coin, you get this initial rush, and it all just it goes nuts because it's like, new coin, everyone that wants it. They all come in to get it. And then what do you get? You get the pre-sale holders, the people who bought first. And they're up. They want their money back, and they start selling off, and then you just get that consolidation. The end of that's when the good trade is. That's when the best trade is. There's a name for this pattern. It's like the Gartley or something, but it's not. Gartley's a harmonic, but it's some kind of name, and you see it on everything. I don't know. Was one of them that he's in trouble for called Mint? No, I don't know. Yeah, you see the same thing right here, right? Comes out, goes crazy, and then and then all that. People selling, whatever, and then then you find the bottom, and it's the same on every coin. So I don't want to get into the weeds on this. It was a well put together witch hunt. It was very compelling. If you didn't know the guy and you just see a big following, and it's very easy to demonize people, and there are, like I said, a lot of shitty, really nasty scammers out there who just build big followings, charge them money, and then use them to leverage their own shitty trading. Like I said, he's just not that guy. That's not him. He's not the one, in my opinion. And I'd be like, I could be wrong, but I actually can't be, because I know good people when I meet them. But did he, could he have done it differently? Will he do it differently next time? I'm sure he will. It just sucks. And that's actually why I don't want a big following. I don't want people looking at my wallets, like telling me how I should do my shit. Like, fuck that. I come on here every time to teach, to share, and I'll tell you guys what I told you today. Yeah, market's a snake pit. And what I'm teaching you is how to rise above it. How to see it coming. How to not get caught in this like hunky-dory fun story where it's like, we're all going to be rich. 90% of the people are going to lose money at the end of all this. It's a fact, guys. And we're starting to see it now, right? Maybe 3 weeks ago, you're like, that's crazy. We're all getting rich. But now you see, right? I mean, now it's down 70% from the highs. You're just like, wait a minute, maybe somebody's not going to get rich. And it's through this kind of shit chop that a lot of people are going to chase their recent losses, which are just paper gains turned into paper losses. Shouldn't really matter for a lot of them. And they're going to chop themselves up. And in the end, and we do keep heading higher someday, or we keep heading lower for a little first, whatever. In the end, 90% of people are going to lose money. They're going to wash out. They're going to never come back, or they're going to sell the bottom. You think, there's a lot of people who say, I'm a holder, I'm not selling. Well, wait till if we got to 1,400. Wait till if we got to 800. I'm not saying we will, but holders become sellers at the bottom very quickly. Saw it happen my damn self. And it's, for myself, I find it fascinating. The whole ride, living through that last cycle was just, it was depressing at points, admittedly. I got washed out a lot harder than I wanted to. After taking out more than I ever thought I'd make, I lost 3 times that, through the bear. And how are you supposed to feel, right? How was your year? Well, I made more than I thought I ever would, and then I watched 3 times that turn into dust. So you made more than you ever thought you would? Yes, okay, fine. It was a good year, but it was a bad year. It's a weird thing. But seeing people and how they change, and Twitter and sentiment, the cycles. And what's crazy is these candles are really just human emotion painted on the chart. It's just, anyways, I'm really ranting now. I'm way off base, rambling. Yeah, let's move on to more important stuff. I just, like I said, I was like thinking about it before the stream. I was like, don't go on a rant. Thanks, Charles, for that thought. I do mean well. Just gave me a little pat on the head and sent me on my way. Appreciate that. Gartner Hype Cycle, it's called. And Zach Lowry, yeah. God, I know we're going to move on, but if you blame other people for your financial results, then you're not going to make it. I think that's the biggest takeaway here. And that's it. And, you want to be rich and famous and have a huge following and make a whole bunch of money, work hard, bro. I do, and I don't have a big following. So just imagine what it takes to get one. I actually don't really want one, to be honest. Between you and I. Between yous and I's. I don't want a huge following. I really don't. If I got one, I'd be like, oh, this is mildly pleasant. But it sounds stressful, especially in a bear market. Oh my God, the witch hunts. Everybody's going to get roasted. They're all big scammers in the end during a bear market. I don't know if you guys were around for the last bear market. It's like, you told me to buy, you're a scammer. Because, anyways, oh my God, I could go on about this all day. Like, we follow people so that we can get ideas, so we can learn what to buy, so that we can make money. And then we blame them for guiding us when they told us not to follow them while telling us to follow them. Ugh, it's all weird. So at the end of the day, educate yourself, learn how to trade, consolidation area, chop zone coming up. The strong trend is out of the market. We're going to see this really painful situation right now unfold. Altcoins all look like this, and this is all what I'm going to look for. And this could go on for as long as it wants. And of course it could go lower, which is why I'm kind of like letting it unwind a little bit. I'm going to take my sweet time. We can look at a few charts that I think, God, I just rubbed my eyeball and it's now like watering and itchy. I think we could, when you poke yourself in the eye a bit and then it just feels like there's salt in it. Yeah, just did that with my knuckle. This, yeah, KSM was one of the best looking charts, and it's just the gas is out right now. which, if you see that coming, if you can identify that and have a plan to like wait for it, that's actually kind of good. In a weird sadistic way, I'm like, fuck it, let's cool down for a bit. I don't want to see my portfolio draw down anymore because I'm not just like full stables. I don't want that. But this thing just failed. I missed KSM, by the way. So like, it's not like I didn't make a whole bunch of money off it. Now it's like, cool. Like I missed it. So if anything, I'm like, for a lot of these coins, which I missed most because you can't hold 7,000 coins. You see this huge dump. I mean, this is like atrocious, like high, lower high, nuke, and then like EMA tag and more nuke, like no recovery. So it was overvalued, apparently. And the market is now going to reprice it lower. We're navigating this SR, I would say, area right now. You could say that's a little bigger than I have it drawn. So maybe like that. And it looks like resistance right now. Maybe it's a chop zone. We'll see how it resolves. But if it's resistance, like if we're now going to, maybe we're coming down in here. I don't know. Am I too bearish today? We'll see. The point is, it's like wait and see. So, it's going to look really bullish if it closes above here. It's like, oh, that was the dip. And it's going to look really shitty if it just like drips into this. And then there's like, oh, I can long that when it starts to break out again. Or we just recover and we chill and we get a little higher and then we retest a level. And then it's like, I can start thinking about longs here. I can think about longs here. Getting in at a low price is part one, but more importantly is getting in a direction that is on side. Long things that are going up, short things that are going down, but long from lower parts of the chart and short from higher parts of the chart. It's all the ingredients we need. More than top of that is just position sizing. It's kind of like ABCs right now, but sometimes you just got to go back to basics. And everything that I see, unless I'm looking at like, let's say 15-minute chart, like there's a trade in here too. Let's not kid ourselves. We could get into the nitty gritty, which I plan to do, next week a little bit. Maybe. I don't know. Everyone's in Miami. Everyone. A lot of people. I can get into the 15-minute and have some fun. Trade a little more size. Get some scalps. Like short time frame. So if we drop into this, instead of like suddenly turning bearish, that's like get some bullish divergence. That's going to be my long for next week. If I can get it, which a long weekend tells me I think I can. So, DeFi season in the next weeks? I don't think so. DeFi ETH perp. Yeah, Julian, let's take a look. I don't think so. I don't think we get a season of any kind in the next weeks. That'll be, I think that's the dopamine. Just we've got to rebuild. We've got to restructure the market to a big blasty bull. Is there news out there that could change that? Is there something that could happen that's just like, wow, back to the full bull? Maybe. But probably not in the next 2 to 3 weeks. We have a lot of cleaning up to do. A lot of money that needs to change hands from weak to strong. And that's not a shout at anybody in particular. Like I've got lettuce hands too. But that's just the way these things tend to go. And I hope I'm wrong. But let's go look at DeFi. Somebody mentioned DeFi perp. Oh, you were looking at it like versus ETH. Versus Ethereum. Let's go take a look at that. Is it slash? I don't really do these charts very often. Yeah. Let's go take a look at that. And let's make it a daily. Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Like it's at the lows. Yeah, it's at the lows, dude, but it's not showing signs of reversal. Not yet. It's showing signs of a potential reversal. It's like, oh, look at me, I might bounce. But then it made a new local low. Hasn't broken any significant highs. It's just making, low, lower high, lower low. For now, lower high. So it's trending down. And and then of course, what would that look like? Well, we had a low put in, came up, retest, take something like that, and then that worked out. But generally just trending down still. Many alts are back at those high time frame supports like Ocean. If you were still in, would you wait for a mini relief rally, lower high to scale out? Total 2 tag of the 20 hopium. Yeah, and that's such a good question. B2 Wins just asked basically about Ocean. And he, more than his question was interesting, is the sentiment. He's saying, we're back at these supports in a lot of altcoins. Should I wait? Do I think I can get a relief bounce to get out? That's the thinking. That's the overarching sentiment right now in the crowds that have been drawn in. And I don't know when you joined in B2 Wins. Could have been here all year, last year, 10 years. I'm not commenting on that. But the sentiment of all the people who have lost money and are still holding right now is, if it drops anymore, I can't take it. I'm going to get out, which will cause, a deeper sell-off. Or like, if we do get the bull out of here, I'm going to sell because I want to get some of that back. We're all missing those recent gains we had. And it's natural to go and claim them when we get even part of them back. And that's where you get uptrends becoming downtrends. And that's why this setup works. Because once we get up into the short reload zone, there's a lot of people just getting bullish, but that's where a lot of people start to rethink their financial choices. They say, you know what, I don't have it all back, but I have enough of it back. I'm not going to make that same mistake twice. I'm getting the fuck out. And that's not like 10 people think that. That's like a collective human emotion. And that's where you get those, complacency bounce, whatever you want to call it. For me, it's just fib pong, baby. So that was a really important piece of data that you gave us by asking that question. So the question is like, if I was still in, would I wait for a mini relief bounce? I would, because if I was still in, that means I was probably planning to hold it. And, I don't want to sell low support. But that's also, this is the shitty thing about, you can get stuck into these positions where you don't have good choices. You're like, I have to risk losing all the gains I had or sell support. And those are two shitty things because, if I put in 5K and I'm still at 20, but I'm pissed because I was at 100, should I still take some of that 5 back from my 20? Like, yeah, probably. It's not great, but get that initial out. Get your initial out. That's the golden rule, right? If you do that, you're living. Eric Schaubs, I'm glad you appreciate it, man. I'm in a ranty mood. There's not a lot to talk about in the market. I mean, apparently there is, but you notice how when it's not like number go up, it's like, well, let's talk about each other and what, everyone else is doing. It's like banter and bullshit. But no, yeah, there's not a whole lot of like, look at these 10 sexy charts and setups that I have, sadly. Although I do think that this fib pong is going to play out really well. I'm excited to trade it. In fact, I feel like I have more edge in a consolidating market because of these fib pongs. I'm surprised no one else has seen it. Like, I'm also surprised that the amount that I've posted it, not that I have a bunch of followers, but like, it just works. It works. And it's so fascinating to me. So anyways, it works really well for me. And you know what's really cool? Okay, now I'm going full rant. What is it? 408? We're not that late. Let's go to XRP. Because this is where I discovered this. And I want to show you because you can do this on like low time frames too, which is really cool. Where did I do it? Was it 72 cents? Oh God, it was way back here. No. Oh dear. Oh wow. Okay, yeah, it was, holy shit. It's been a long rally, guys. I'm looking back here like this was the XRP trade up to 70 cents. Yeah. Okay. Wow. It blew my mind. I thought this was the thing we were just looking at. Okay, so I think it was like right here. But anyways, there was a fib pong where I kind of discovered this setup and traded it. And like, when you're trading in smaller time frames, you can get some really nice size. And so these were not small trades because you're so tight, right? You're playing it so tight to the chest. So for example, I'm like long here, stop loss here, or whatever. And then it's like, I'm going to short here. I don't even think this is the exact range, but it's playing out. You can see, right? So you get the big dump and, you're probably not even trading that first one because you don't know it's that yet. But you get this big dump and then measure it. And you say, okay, I'm going to look for my first short up in this short reload zone. And yeah, this isn't the one because it went on 3 times, but this one only went twice. And then I'm going to short here, and I'm going to get long or close it back down to the short reload or the reload zone of that. And then you just play that. And as you can see in this one, it didn't work. I don't know where I was trading. It was a 15-minute chart though. And it was basically within 1 day. And it was just like bing, 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 bing. And they all just smack, 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 smack. You could almost make your exit on one, your entry on the next. And it like, you know, feeling this stuff out. Use this time to explore the market a bit. These fibs, this fib pong stuff, you know, like instead of waiting for the big FOMO on here, because I traded it and I got out early as I often do. I collected those gains and then I watched the rest of it go on. Sold my moon bag early, whatever. But then it's like, I don't care, because when that smackdown comes, then it's like going to kick into fib pong gear. I think it was this actually. God, it might have been the top here. But when I change time frames, it's going to go back to like normal, like to today. Anyways, I won't go look for all that, but you know, that kind of stuff is fascinating for me. And you can see it everywhere. Everywhere you get big reversals, just fib, 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 fib. So I'm going to wait for some triangles to appear. You know, big move up. Short the short reload zone. Long the reload zone. Back up right here. Short the short reload zone. Like that's kind of how I'm playing right now. Short here. And then, you know, long here. Uh-oh, got stopped out. Didn't work. 3 for 4. You know, call it a day. Okay, let's talk about Matic. We're getting close to the end here, guys. But this is the most fun part of my day today, which is not nothing. Okay, I genuinely enjoy getting on the air, hanging out, chatting live. So I'm gonna keep it going for a bit, but I do have to go make dinner soon. So let's talk Matic. What a sick accumulation range here, or reaccumulation rather, because it's kind of like mid pump. Okay, so I'm super bullish on Matic. It's hard to see it just like dumping to lows because like I really want to buy some cheap, and I think a lot of people do. So it's one that I personally like have a hard time, you know, I'm going to wait on it, but I fully expect to miss it. But let's just play the fib pong, right? You get the low here. Let's take it to the high. Why is that the low? Because that's the last time we had a major new bullish market structure with this breakout. So let's take that low. Draw it up to the highs. Okay, so we've already got the first, and without even drawing it, you guys can probably see we already got the second, which is a trade I'm sad I did not take. I was not really trading this week. It's kind of resting. I had some Bitcoin longs from like the low 30s from last weekend. I was just kind of watching. Not leverage longs, but, you know, spot positions. And now, you know, this was a sick trade. 786, 786. My cousin even called me and said, we should take that trade. Like, we should long Matic on this big crazy dump. And I was like, no. I talked him out of it like an idiot. But I apologize. So we're even. And then let's look here. Like, this is probably where it's going to play out. There's everything I just talked about. We have a really nice setup on Matic here, except that, you know, we already missed. And the key to this, like, is getting the good entry. You have your top, you have your you know, lower high. We broke the midpoint, and we've even retested it. So short term, as in the next 6 days, I could see Matic ending up in this reload zone, almost like pretty high probability, just based on my setup, because it's going to be bing, 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 like based on all the stuff I just talked about, right? That's how I see it. That's how I read the charts. Someone else could show you, you know, that we broke out and now we're retesting support and we're just going to go up, and that's possible. That's how I feel it's going to go, because I want it to be down here so I can long it. And it looks so like the project is just going to capture so much of Ethereum's network value that it just seems grossly underpriced. Even at all of these. Chavs, yeah. Appreciate that, bro. It'd be awesome to see some charts on Helium. Heard they just partnered with Akash. 2 projects I'm not that familiar with. Let's check it out. Next 4 hour decides everything, really? Aseeb. Interesting take. Maybe order book should be thinner this weekend. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I really do think, it's going to be tough trading this week unless you are short from these recent local highs we just put on everything. It was really nice. I'm kind of chastising myself now. I'm like, well, why wasn't I doing that? You get the strong bounce, pretty easy dip to buy, not emotionally, but like logically. The market had been so hot, so to just drop 70% made 0 sense. Unfortunately, I chose Bitcoin as my vehicle, so it like rose the least this week. Go figure, it happens. And then shorting that bounce is usually pretty fantastic, because of everything we've talked about today around how to trade the range. So yeah. So Hill reminds me, hit the like button, guys, if you can. Help out the algo. Help me keep my job so I can keep doing this stuff for free for you guys. Hit the like, hit the sub. We are coming up on 5,000 subscribers quickly, suddenly, slowly. Now we're crawling. We need 50 more subs to hit 5,000. That's a big milestone for myself. When we started this channel, I think we had 8 subscribers. I was number 9. And then it was like, the first stream had 1 guy watching. He's like, pass. Next stream had 3. And, it's crazy how these things grow. So if you guys want to show a little appreciation, give me a shout. That's how you can do it. Consolidation would be exciting for me. Yeah, me too. The cool thing, guys, is once you get into this, was super bearish about Matic. Yeah, Hornet, I don't know why Messi would be super bearish about Matic. I think he is focusing on some other scaling solutions, some other L2s or, not L2s. Like, I don't even know the one it's called, like Elysium or whatever it is. He's focusing on a lot of different things that can help scale Ethereum. And I think his take is that when they come out, they will render, like Matic was first to the trough, so it's getting the adoption now, it's getting the excitement now, but then there's going to be bigger, better ones, and then they'll get it, and Matic will be a flash in the pan. I think that was his take. That's could happen, could be right. I am super bullish on Matic. I think they're going to capture a ton of Ethereum's network value, and I think Ethereum, as a settlement layer, can capture so much value that more than one L2 can be very successful riding it. And Matic is first to the trough, and that's their, as far as like network value goes. I mean, look at Ethereum. First smart contract platform. Is any other one even close? Still not, because it was first. So the first L2 could have a huge leg up, and Matic team is super sharp and all that. So my take is that there's something I want to look at, but like, me, guys, I can't rush into this up here, kicking myself because I was super bullish on it back in all of this. Like, I think 4 cents is when I was on my radar, and I was like, it's going to be the next biggest thing. And I did. I traded it, and it was a great trade. But like long term, I've got bags that Matic should be in there, but whatever. So FibPong, for me, I'm going to be longing in the low ones, assuming the market doesn't just fall apart and that looks like a terrible idea. Because I think, the best case for Matic right now is to get something like this, where we just clean up the chart. Because once you do something like that and then continue, it's so much, healthier than, say, just going straight up. Because eventually that stuff usually gets cleaned up. So you can get up there a lot safer if you do something like this. So let's see. Let's see if we get something like that into, for a couple months. And I could see that being like across the market. And then it's just bing, bing. Always that little FU right before, right? Appreciate that, Jedi Hornet. ICP, Insane Clown Posse. Not really, though. I don't even know what ICP stands for. I looked it up the other day. I'll tell you what, I see a lot of the right people talking about it, and I want to buy some when it's done doing its thing. You know what this chart reminds me of? Is DOT when it launched. Right, guys? DOT, AVAX, earlier this year. They launched. There was a lot of hype, but as with most big projects, probably a lot of people holding them. I don't know, I'm talking out of my ass here. I don't know if there's an inflation mechanism here. It's actually at an interesting level right now. Damn. Hold on a tick. I mean, it hasn't confirmed the reversal yet. It's just trending down, but this big bid coming in off the floor, so to speak. And now we're into that reload zone. I mean, I don't know if I was super bullish on this and I was dying to not miss out and I had to insist. I don't know why this happens. But yeah, like something like that, risk to lows. Not out of this question, not out of the question. That's a 27% risk to lows though. I'd probably rather just wait for it to break out. Like buy that instead. I'll probably run it by that instead and then risk to like one of these higher lows. But yeah, this is one that I've been keeping an eye on. Good reminder. I actually haven't been keeping an eye on it, but I want to because it reminds me of the DOT. DOT came out earlier this year. I don't know why I feel like I'm getting the same vibes with ICP. Don't even know the name of it. I looked it up the other day, but I forgot. But when DOT, came out, I mean, it doesn't look quite as, it looks a little more like AVAX, but this kind of thing, right? Nobody cares. Shake it out. There was a lot of people holding DOT that were in profit when it came out. So pre-sale, whatever. And and then it just goes. AVAX, even better example of that. I even have it still on this chart. This is what it reminds me of. Comes out and just does nothing. Super hyped. Lots of excitement, but chopping out through like all the pre-salers and then early buyers and lows get run, lows get run, lows get run, breakout. Buy the pump chaser zone, go. So that's what I'm looking for on ICP. And it hasn't had a hype cycle yet. It hasn't had a rally. So there's something sexy about that, I think. Looking back at the chat here, what do you guys know about ICP? Because seems to be really weirdly popular. I think I saw it on like the highest volume on Binance the other day for some reason. That's why it caught my eye. Okay, so Aaron Moody says he actually uses Polygon. He's like, yeah, I'm just never coming back to use ETH. I can't imagine myself doing that. And that's fair. And that makes sense. I actually should set it up and use it. I still pay fees on Uniswap, even though I'm like bullish on Matic and QuickSwap and all that. But my free 1-inch drop into Matic. Nice, Paul. Oof. What a nice rotation. Because that 1-inch drop came in December. I still remember it was Christmas Eve. And that's when Matic was like 2 cents. Very nice rotation. Does Matic ever have an EVM machine? I don't know that. That's a messy question. I don't know what the hell EVM stands for. I'm just a meat bag trader here. And I have allergies, apparently. Is there a good way to go back and participate with the ability to go fast forward as training? Oh, paper trade with the ability to... Yes. I'm so glad you asked that. There is an ability to do that. Okay, so Julian asked... Now, first of all, there's not really a great way to like rush through becoming good at trading, so I shouldn't tell you that. But there is a way to fast forward those setups if you're talking about FibPong. Because like I said, it is a phenomenon that works on all time frames. So let's go see name a coin, DOT. The thing is, to set up the FibPong, you really need a strong trend and then a sort of dump. You need the dump because that's what shocks the market into the state of uncertainty that becomes the consolidation, that becomes the FibPong. And that can count, so if I was going to do that on the daily, it's a 3 hour. I don't know why I'm trading on that. It's weird. If I'm going to, like it kind of, it happened here too, where you get the drop, get up into that short reload zone, measure from there to the eventual high that came in, get back into the reload zone. There's your trade. And that's on the daily. So like that took weeks to play out. That's one trade. Your question is, can I speed that up? Can I paper trade? So go on to TradingView. They actually have, down at the bottom, if you bring this up and click on trading panel, there's a thing called paper trading. And you can connect it and then it sets you up on the side and it gives you like, an amount you pick, 10,000 credits, whatever. And you can do limit entries and stop losses and take profits, and right on the actual chart, you'll be in or out at those levels and you can basically practice. And I assume there's some data tracking on there. If not, you should have your own trade journal anyways. I actually don't use it right now, but I prefer Edgewonk. I think it used to be like a lifetime $200. but I think now they moved to a monthly. I haven't used it since they changed. I used to use like the downloaded one. There's like a web-based one. Anyways, Edgewonk's dope. It's a little complicated, so you might try and find something a little cheaper or, less complex because it's a little overwhelming at first. But all that to say, yes, because this works on the 5-minute. And so if you want to play with setups, picking your time frames, paper trading on lower time frames, you're going to get a lot more data. You're going to get a lot more chances to run your setup. So there's that. You can do that. If I had, the perfect world, what would designed for like the good life that I want to live would be trading on the 4-hour and the daily, because you can wait weeks for your setup to come in, and then you can wait weeks and months for your setup to play out. And the moves you can capture are intense, like monumental. They're amazing. You can still make a ton of money. And then as you play with those with some size over time, and then of course, what are you doing day to day when you're sitting in a multi-week trade like I did with Ocean back in whatever? You're just chilling. Spend time with the kids if you have some. Go out, play golf with the buddies if you have some. Like this, as it turns out, I longed it perfectly. I didn't catch what turned out to be a perfect exit at 193 at the chaos, but like that trade took 63 days. That was 2 months of my life. I can do anything I want because I know that I've got my setup. Maybe I'm moving up my stop loss once or twice. Maybe I'm getting triggered on a trailing. But if you trade the 5-minute, you're sitting at your computer all day, every day. That's not really how I want to live. But I do some day trading, but generally I like to swing the midterms. So we're into a juicy buy area for me. I now have to be patient to get my entry and then more patient to wait for the target to come in. I could be looking at months here, guys. Not going to sugarcoat it. Internet computer. Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I got for ICP. ICP, internet computer, yeah. Yeah, it does sound really dorky, which is perfect because those are the best ones. I have a strange feeling regarding L2 is like a different blockchain liquidity project. So am I missing something? Yeah, I could be honest. I'm not the guy to talk to about L2s, exactly how they work. My understanding is that they basically just offset a lot of the stuff that goes on in Ethereum, process themselves, and then settle it back to Ethereum in blocks and chunks. So they basically just decongesting the network while speeding up what gets done and then settling it all the same anyways. Maybe an element of, centralization or lack of security, because obviously all the Ethereum nodes don't have to confirm all those transactions as they happen, only when they settle back to Ethereum. I don't know. So that's my loose understanding of it. Bullish. In a nutshell, bullish on things that make, ETH fees not so shitty. Okay, BNB BTC for Shar Steckler over on TradingView, and then we're going to get close to wrapping up, but don't leave yet, because I always have an ending rant that usually gets pretty juicy. Look, yeah, looks. I just want to be complacent or flippant and be like, looks like shit. But let's look at it a little deeper. Let's not just, have that analysis yet. Because, so many times in an uptrend and then you just look back and it's like, flips this, maybe it goes in, then, and then you're like, oh, RT says it looks bad here. Like that was the dip. It's possible. So what do I need to see? That's a 3-day. There's not a complete structure here for continuation. So what I would want to see, at the very least, right, we've got resistance now. We've flipped this key level here. So let's retake that first before I'm becoming a bull. Or let's go all the way down here. And then maybe I could become a bull for different reasons. But as far as purely based on the trend, we have now taken this support level. We flipped it and retested it twice as resistance. So we're trending down and we're stuck beneath it. So I have no business buying until we're above that. Or, like I said, if we want to do some fib pong, it depends. The questions are always tough because it's like, what do you think of this chart? It's like, well, for this setup, it's this. For that setup, it's that. If I'm a hodler, does it even matter? Just buy it and hold it. So, as far as FibPong goes, we've done the tag. So next stop, presumably, by my setups up there. Either way, this is a kind of no trade zone. It was like long last Sunday. Looking for shorts if we get up into here. And if that plays out, looking for longs once we get back down into there. And again, that's the bull case. If it's like, oh, it was a bubble and it just popped, well, then we're probably going to just head down a little quicker, a little further, a little faster. I don't think we're going to do that, but I'm looking at this kind of stuff all over the market. I want to see my FibPongs. That's the bull case, because those, after a huge bull run like we've had, would probably end with like some breaking out continuation. So how far do you think AVAX will drop? Oh my God, guys, these crystal ball questions. Let's go see. Fuck it. I'll bite. AVAX. Yeah, I mean, it's a strong one. It's one that I would like to have a piece of. And my God, am I glad I didn't FOMO into that. I bought this thing at $3, sold it at like $4 because some other coin looked like shit, and I freaked out. I think it was Bitcoin. Right here. Was it? No, it's even worse. It was like down here. And then, I made a little bit of money. And I was like, oh, it's a profitable trade. I'll move on. And then I just missed it, and then missed it, and then never went back. So where is it going to go? Well, we're into a really sweet area. I mean, here's a super bullish asset. Now it's back into the reload zone. So I imagine, like most of these ones we've looked at, it's going to put a floor in somewhere through here. And if that's going to be like, whoa, for that big final FU, same kind of thing. I think, that's the messed up thing. I think we're in like a bad place to be selling things. It's not where I look to sell. I look to sell when shit's going bananas. When shit looks like it just broke down, I stop loss. Like here, why am I still holding it? I wouldn't be. Or if I am, I'm like trying to build a position to go up. This is not good. You don't want to lose that low if we're going to be a bull market going on. But it's a really, it's a tough area to be selling. And if we head into a bull market, this is not a financial advice. Like if we head into a bear market, don't be like, RT, you said don't sell. I'm just saying generally on average over time, probability wise, reload zones are not where I'm selling. They're where I'm buying. Make sense? Make the sense. Hey, what's up? Too fast? Good to see you. Swinger. Okay, I'm playing FibPong with Solana. I think you said Soul Ape. Oh, you said Soul Ape. That's actually a coin, isn't it? I thought you were being cute talking about Solana Ape. Well, I mean, you know what I mean. Like talking about Solana, pretending you're an ape. Soul Ape. Okay. You're super fuzzy on TradeView. Glad you're on use. Yeah, sorry guys. If you're on TradingView and it's not coming through clearly, you got to refresh. If that doesn't work, just come on over to YouTube. Hxro Labs. We are wrapping up, but for future. Sub to the channel if you just flipped over. Even if you're going to watch on TradingView next week, let's get to 5,000, guys. It's such a clean number. I feel like we earned it. It's been a year. Working hard. Hardly working. Bit of both. Hear the word complacency one more time. Yeah, seriously. That's what it is. It's like, I don't know, man. I think Bitcoin already had that. God, got me on a new thing now, but let's take a look. I mean, this, if you want to talk about complacency, this was it. This was it literally to like textbook, right? I mean, the only reason I wasn't more bearish here is because this was a higher high. That was stupid. That was the Coinbase high. It was basically nothing. Like it was literally just Coinbase. And the fact it sell off so hard and then it broke that key structure and I was charting it. Remember, I think I've gone over this like last weekend, but we had the range highs here and it was like range highs, short reload zone, sweet spot. And that was complacency to a T. Doesn't mean that that's like, this is where we are and we have to do that whole big cycle sheet, but that's literally what complacency is. It was a huge structural breakdown that everyone should have been paying attention to. I noted it. I looked at it. We talked about it, but I wasn't like, sell everything. Because I was complacent. And then, it's just drift up in, no energy at all. Nobody cared because DeFi and ETH and all those names were getting huge buy volume, and that's what I was looking at. And then Bitcoin's like, yeah, but I can still rug pull the whole goddamn market. Go fuck yourself. So yeah, it like people that are lining this up with the whole market cycles thing, like they're not wrong. And this is so textbook like anxiety denial. And then it's like, meh, and then it's panic, and then it's meh, and then it's like depression, and then next year, like that'd be sick. We just have like a shortened cycle, and then next year it's like, whoa, disbelief, whoa. I don't know. Who knows, man? Like all that's just noise. I don't know. I'll tell you what I'm looking at. Told you all day what I'm looking at. I want to get that fib pong. You know, I did pick up some Bitcoin last Sunday at the lows, as I was tweeting about. I felt pretty good about myself. I'm usually bad at being like strong-handed and buying into those kinds of crazy panics historically. I'm like, I don't necessarily, like I don't sell them, but I don't buy. I just go, oh, wait and see. But I was like, fuck it. I've seen this enough times. I'm buying. I will admit, I sold some through this. I had a little profit and I said, I don't know what's going on. I'm going to take some off. I still hold about half. And I've set myself up to be able to pick this up, you know, if I want down here. Whatever that, you know, that's like 3 weeks. It's a daily, but you know what I mean? So if we dip into here this weekend, you know, I might take some longs here. But even as I say that, you know, what a silly idea. I just spent an hour and a half telling everybody like there's better opportunities to be longing things. Like after, you know, consolidations, breakouts, market structures. So I don't know. My setup worked. I got long on the retested lows, took some profit, stop loss break even, and we'll see. We'll see what the next leg looks like. But I'm more looking at Ethereum. I think that's where I'm really focused this weekend. Stefan coming in hot. Yeah, you missed it. Sad face, man. Wondering why you weren't here. One of my ID homies. Sol and Link are strong, even though also in bearish trends. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, guys. We could talk all day about how strong projects are, and I agree. You know, Link, Solana, top of the food chain when it comes to like where speculation can go. Link, you know, has admittedly had a bit more of a run than Solana already. I always like to find things that haven't quite had their hype cycle fully blown out yet. Not saying Link did, but you know what I mean? Like Solana's a little earlier. But yeah, Solana doesn't look good either. You know, it looks cheap on a valuation level where it's like, hey, this is how fast and good it is. This is how sure I am that the network that is built on Ethereum, like that kind of level of adoption will happen. Yes, I do think it will. Then you look at the evaluation of Ethereum versus Solana. You say, Solana's cheap. I love that thinking. But this chart tells me I can wait. And even if I wait and I end up buying more expensive, at least it's like probability up, you know, dip, higher low, breakout, some kind of continuation where I FOMO and feel like an idiot, come and test some kind of low, and then I can get long. Or whatever, you know, like there's so many ways this could play out. I'll just tell you this. Big uptrend, almost vertical blowout top, dump. I'm going to give it some time. I'm going to let it consolidate. And hopefully find some signal where it's either so cheap and it's like, you know, I just get a deal where I'm like, fuck, I don't even care. I'm just going to pick it up and hold. Not quite there yet. This was it. Fuck, sub $20 would have been a great entry. Wasn't looking at that one that day. Or again, oh, we're back to a bull. Uptrend resumes. Solana will be in my bags in size. Period. Really like. Yeah, Max DeMarcos, that is probably the toughest question. It is why I spend so much time ranting and raving about managing risk and taking it easy and making a plan, because your question is what a lot of people are asking right now. What do you do if you're trapped all in alts right now? And that is a terrifying place to be. It is a place where you usually will end up in your first cycle because it's where you are taught the most gains are. It's where the most gains are. Potential. And that's, you know, every time you're not all in altcoins, you don't make optimal returns during the bull. So without a plan, you slowly end up being like, I need more altcoins. I need better exposure. I don't want to be sitting in Bitcoin. Bitcoin's lame. Tether only goes sideways. And then you see the other side of altcoins, and they just go to vaporware like that. 70% drawdown, no buy, no bid. They're so seasonal. So I'm sorry if you were trapped in there. I've been there before. I told you about my Aeon bag earlier this show. I literally rode that thing. But, so what to do? It's so financial advice-y, dude, that it's like I'm not even really comfortable telling you because I don't know your situation. The answer to that question for you has a lot to do with your risk profile, do you need that money to pay rent next month? Then you need to sell it. You need that money. You have to cover your bases. You can't. Wrecked can never be on the table. You have to take it out of the equation. You do that by managing risk. You do that by paying yourself and all that stuff. But a lot of them, like the ones we looked at today, they're sitting in reload zones. They're sitting in places where I would think to buy for the longer term. Right? Solana finally, not off the lows. Let's see what the lows look like. So if you're stuck all in altcoins right now, you're clearly feeling anxious about it. That's why you asked. Okay, the best not financial advice I can give, the things like what I would tell my cousin, my friend, I would just say, take a little off. Take a little bit off. You don't have to be right. You don't have to be wrong because you're only moving 5%. Stable coins, go. And then it's like, okay, I sold the bottom. Who cares? But like you got out of that bag a little bit. And it's crazy when you're out of a position how your psyche changes. You see things more clearly when you're out of that state of stuck. And for what it's worth, during the bear market, somebody asked me this, and I had this conversation with them, and I told them that sometimes even through the bear market, I completely nuked my portfolio, like, whatever you want to call it, panic sold everything. I sold everything to Tether. And as soon as I did that, I had a new number in front of me. I was like, this is what I have, and it's not going anywhere, presuming Tether doesn't go anywhere. And with that new number, I could then think clearly. I could look for setups, new setups, and and I eventually deployed that capital into things that were bullish. And this person who I told that story to went and did that. And 2 months later, we were in a bear market. 2 months later, they came and told me, they're like, oh, thank God, I went and nuked my whole portfolio. And 2 months later, I have these bullish assets. I would have been so underwater. Thank you. It worked out. On the other hand, we've been in a big bull. I don't think this full cycle is done. This is a big dip. And then, you kind of let the fear get the best of you because you were over leveraged in alts. You sell them here and they go up and like, you don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. So 5%, sleep on it. Take a week. 10%, sleep on it. Take a week. 20%, get to a point where you're almost FOMOing back into them. And that's now you have your new equilibrium and you can watch and wait. So I can't even fathom your context right now for that question. So I don't know. That's like, that's just friendly, helpful thoughts, not financial advice, man. Don't shoot the messenger if it goes back up without you, or if it dumps on you and you never sold any. I don't know. And this is the painful part. This is why sometimes I get cringy about like having followers, because it's enough pressure for me to like, manage my own stuff. So why we talk about, but all jokes aside, I feel for you, man. And I really hope you're not in too bad of a place. Markets aren't going anywhere. You can learn. I have been rinsed by the market a number of times, still here. And a big part of that is learning from mistakes. So be thoughtful. Sorry, I'm reading the chat while I'm trying to talk. I got a lot of ID too, guys. Like I am underwater on some. Open interest creeped so high. When? We're dipping right now? Uh-oh. Let's go see. Live dumps. Seems to always happen near the end of the stream. Friday afternoons, go figure. Oh, let's use Ethereum to express. Let's see the 1 hour. Yeah. See, this is it, guys. I thought about buying this support this morning. I really did. I had it marked on my chart. I even tweeted it. I said, here's our hopium for today, guys. We got this little support bar. But it's not the reload zone. It's not deep enough. We started the show off talking about this, but now we're getting a little bit of confirmation of that thinking. So let's go look at it before we wrap up. I swear I talk about wrapping up for the last half hour of every show, but that's okay. Right here. Right? I want to get, if I'm going to long this, given everything we just talked about, market has to cool off, downtrend, just not an opportune moment to be sizing up. If I'm going to long against all that, it better be at my goddamn level. The deepest level I can find that stays relatively bullish. That's down here. That's 2200. That's 21. That's even a little wick in, and then wait for the bounce and get the low off that. To show you what I mean here. So just say this weekend sucks. And then it's like, whoa. And then it's like bounce. And then we go. And like, so in that case, I can try to just long blindly here. And where do I measure risk to? That's a big window. Or I wait for some kind of shit wick to come in, like this one here. And then buy that reload zone. It didn't work here, but in fact, that was the reload zone, if you guys remember. Not for ETH. I was trading it on Bitcoin. Right here. Right? So if you took the wick, right here, and then you wait for that bounce up, and then you can buy that reload zone. That's kind of what I was thinking last weekend when I picked up those positions. And they worked out, sell at resistance, move stop to scratch. And now I can try to do it again because I just, as much as I think we could plow lower here, and that actually wouldn't be surprising at all. And it would wreck a lot of people. And just like the guys, some of you asking in the chat today, well, what should I do? I'm underwater. A lot of guys are like, I'm a holdler. Well, we plow one leg lower, 2 legs lower. Holdlers turn to sellers real quick. So there are sellers left in this market, unfortunately. Well, I want to be in a market where we're no more sellers and we're only buyers, but right now we have a lot of sellers. So yeah, we could bust down and then my stop gets hit and I lose a little money longing against a downtrend, telling myself I shouldn't. But I'll probably look to take a shot at these lows because as much as I think that could happen, I actually think it's a little bit more likely, for what it's worth, that we do some kind of consolidation-y, rangey thing here and squeeze some people. But I don't know. I really don't know. It's like it's those two things. It's either one or two more, probably 2 more sharp legs down over the next months, weeks, or we like squeeze up and range up here first and do that whole triangle thing that I've been talking about for going on 2 hours. That's the bull case. That's what I want to see. But we could just plow south here. And that's always how it's going to feel, right? When you get down to these lows, it's always like, oh no, it is going to plow lower. And that's why I have to just take those shots, because you don't get to wait for too much confirmation down there. It's usually a pretty quickie wiki. Watching 10K you put into some random alt, teleport to 2K sucks. Yup, I feel your pain. You know what, guys? Let me tell you a little story about a MILF. If Nick's watching this, he's going to get a laugh because he's the big jerk who told me to buy this. But no, we were talking the other week. I bought MILF. This is like, I don't do this very often. You guys see me on the show. I don't do too much shitcoining. At least I like to think I don't. I love altcoins, but like not like the deep, dark, dirty shitters of like Uniswap. And he's like, oh yeah, I got some info that's something about MILF. And like, I picked it up in here. I think it was after this breakout. So like, or whatever, like after this volume, I bet the news that I was getting from him was somebody reacting to that. So I picked some up here or something. I picked up more than I should have. And then after all this dust settled and I looked at my portfolio like whatever last week, and then I was like, wait a sec, I forgot I picked up MILF. Fucking thing was down 90%. Yep. I've seen money turn into dust last week. So don't think I don't feel that pain too, guys. The difference, I think, for me this cycle is I've gotten so much better at putting money aside during the good times. Not perfect. I get big drawdowns too. But then when you settle into these moments, you don't have the panic. You don't have the fear. Like, oh, I did it again. Like, if anything, I get the opposite during the bull market. I'm like, oh, why did I take so much out? Why did I put so much on the sidelines? Like, I could have made way more if I never paid myself. But then would I have made it? Because maybe I wouldn't have paid myself in the end, right? It's a really tricky thing, guys. This stuff isn't easy. But, if you've been through TRI, that's still hands down the best thing I can recommend to you guys. We just started a new term, or they just started a new term. I don't work there. But September's the next one. And that shit changed my life. And I will share as much of their stuff here as I can as far as like thinking process, but it's never going to be the same as signing up yourself. Seems more of an intermezzo. Yeah, it does. I agree with you. It does seem more of an intermezzo, whatever that is. That's why I think like this. That's why I'm leaning towards this, right? As soon as it gets super bearish into the long weekend, through the long weekend, maybe even like Monday, Tuesday next week, and then we just fucking shoot up for a few weeks. That'd be nice. Maybe not that high, right? Some levels before that I think, but who knows? The nice thing about the setups, I don't care. I don't care if it gets there, it doesn't get there. It's like what I will do if it does get there. What I will do if it does get here. I have to have that figured out before it gets there. And then stick to my guns and size down until I feel comfortable doing it. If I try to size up, I'll never pull the trigger. If you're trying to go all in on something, God, put some pressure on yourself. You have to be right if you're going to go all in on something, especially with leverage, right? Don't put that much pressure on yourself. Risk 1%. And then you can just punt it into the abyss. These trades, counter to the trend, if I'm longing down here, I'm probably risking like 0.25%, 0.5%. And then you're just collecting data, you're doing some trades, you're not going to make or break yourself on that trade. That's really how trading should be. Boring and nasty. All right, let's switch back to let's go back here. I hope you guys, keep your head in the game. Doesn't mean like be a bull, that's your head in the game, but like long term, we're all here because we're bullish on crypto. Fundamentally, the world is coming. It looks like it's, crypto is a better option in many ways. DeFi, all these things. It is more efficient. In my opinion, tech-based, what it offers the world. It's why we're here. It's why it hit 2 trillion already. The cat's out of the bag. The people who decide what things get to become things have decided that crypto is going to become a thing. That's just what I see. So is it going to take 1 month, next week, 4 months, 2 years for us to have another big face melt up? I don't think it'll take as long as we think right this minute. That doom feeling, you're like, forever. I think it'll surprise us how quickly it comes, or surprise us how slowly it comes. One or the other, we're going to be surprised. And I'm just here for the ride. And the way that I'm going to guarantee, I don't make too many guarantees in trading. There's not too many. But I can guarantee that I'm not going to wash myself out of the market. And the way I'm going to do that is by managing risk, by securing my account with a base of Tether and Bitcoin and Ethereum, things that don't move quite as much, as opposed to myself in 2017 and 2018 when I just had like a base of things that go down 80% in 2 days. Altcoins, they are so good when they're good, and they're so bad when they're bad. They're very volatile. So the quicker I can cut those out of my life when it's bad and get back into them when they're good, the better. Aside from ID and a couple others, one that I'm not allowed to talk about because of the channel we're on, figure that one out. There's a couple that I'm just holding. But for the most part, I've got some Tether. I moved a little stuff onto Hxro, collecting some yields, whatever that is, like 10%, 8%. And I've got some bids on FTT, actually, for this dip this weekend. I'm going to express that dip on ETH and Bitcoin through FTT long. And, just trading. But I'm never going to risk my whole account, and I'm not even going to risk 20% of my account or 50% of my account. Although I did experience a 30% drawdown across the board, but that was not a single trade. So that's kind of my final rant, guys. I can say it. You'll hear it all over the place where you go. If you're following people who have good intentions and who are legit longer-term professional traders, they'll all tell you the same thing. You can't be right all the time, so you have to manage risk. And now more than ever. So if I haven't beat that horse dead today, be sure that you rewatch so that you can hear it all again. And whenever this thing turns back to a full bull, I'll still be here and we'll be hanging out and we'll do this stuff. And where it has to go in between, well, let's hope it's FibPong, because we can track that week over week. We can get our paper trade accounts out if we need to. If we're not confident enough in the setup, I am. So I'm going to start trying to trade it. And this long here is the less. Oh God, you're not looking at the chart. Point is, the long that comes up here next is the less confident of them. If that hits and we end up in a short reload zone at 50K, 47, the short that comes there, much higher probability trade. So waiting for that might be not a bad idea either way. Okay, guys, whatever you do this weekend, have fun. Take care of yourself. If you're going to Miami, try not to cough on too many people. I unfortunately can't make it, so because I'm Canadian. So the border thing was just too crazy. So, but whatever you do between now and then, I'll be back next Friday, next Wednesday. Always play from a position of strength. Take care.